Hello and welcome back. If you're a fan of dramatic reality television, then you know the name, you know the silhouette, you know the absolutely unfiltered, emotional whirlwind that is Darcey Silva. For years, we have invited Darcey and her twin sister, Stacy, into our living rooms through the wild world of 90 Day Fiancé and their own spin-offs. We've watched their quest for love, their fierce family loyalty, their entrepreneurial spirit with their fashion line, House of 11, and we've watched their very public, very dramatic physical transformations. And last night, during the latest episode, Darcey Silva, at 51 years young, did what Darcey Silva does best. She became the #1 trending topic online. But this time, it wasn't for a new boyfriend, a tear-filled confrontation with her sister, or even a brand new surgical procedure. No, this time, it was for a wardrobe malfunction of such epic, jaw-dropping proportions that it has left viewers, fans, and critics alike absolutely stunned, asking one burning question: has Darcey's well-documented and extreme surgery addiction finally crossed a line from personal choice to a genuine physical liability? Strap in, everyone, because today we are diving deep. This isn't just about a slipped strap or a visible bra line. This was something else entirely. We're going to break down the incident itself, frame by metaphorical frame. We're going to explore the years-long journey of surgical procedures that led to this very moment. We'll hear from body language experts and stylists about what went wrong. We'll talk about the public's reaction, which has been a turbulent mix of shock, concern, and, yes, cruel mockery. And most importantly, we're going to have a serious conversation about body dysmorphia, the intense pressures of fame, and where we, as an audience, should draw the line between entertainment and genuine concern for a person's well-being. So, let's not waste another second. Let's get right into it. The scene was a high-end cocktail party in Miami, a setting Darcey is more than familiar with. Glamour, cameras, fashion, this is her element. She walked in, head held high, embodying the boss babe persona she so often projects. She was wearing a stunning, or what was meant to be a stunning, black evening gown. Now, describing this dress is key to understanding the magnitude of the malfunction. It wasn't a simple little black dress. This was a structural feat of fashion engineering. Think ultra-tight, bodycon, with a dangerously plunging neckline that ventured far, far south of the collarbone. It was held up by what appeared to be the sheer force of will and two impossibly delicate, spaghetti-thin straps. The dress was clearly designed for a very specific, and perhaps more, aerodynamic, physique. It was a dress that demanded a flat chest, minimal upper body bulk, and a certain natural skeletal structure to cling to. And herein lay the root of the problem. Darcey's body, after years and years of extensive cosmetic surgery, is, well, it's structurally different. As she moved through the party, greeting other cast members, the cameras, as they always do, followed her every move. For the first few minutes, things seemed tense, but under control. You could see the fabric straining. You could see that the delicate straps were digging in, bearing a weight they were never, ever designed to bear. It was like watching a suspension bridge in a hurricane. You just knew something had to give. And then, it did. It wasn't a slow slip. It was a catastrophic failure. During a particularly animated gesture, while she was laughing, one of those tiny spaghetti straps snapped. Just popped. And with its partner in crime now out of commission, the entire architectural integrity of the gown collapsed. The plunging neckline, which was already precarious, gave way entirely, leading to a very real, very serious, and very unintended exposure. This wasn't a nip slip. This was a full-on wardrobe collapse. The dress sagged, the support was gone, and Darcey was left scrambling, her hands flying up to cover herself, her face a mask of sheer panic and horror. The cameras, of course, did not look away. The producers, for better or worse, aired the moment in all its chaotic, blurry but still clear enough glory. The scene cut away quickly, but the damage was done. In that unscripted, raw moment, the fourth wall didn't just break, it shattered. This wasn't a storyline manufactured for drama. This was a real, human, and deeply embarrassing moment for a 51-year-old woman, broadcast to millions. Social media, as you can imagine, exploded within seconds. The clip was isolated, screenshotted, turned into memes, and shared across every platform from Twitter to TikTok to Instagram. The hashtag Darcey's malfunction started trending globally. The comments were a firestorm. Some were laughing, creating memes comparing the strap snap to the collapse of a building. Others were vicious, calling the moment a cry for help or the inevitable consequence of her life choices. But a significant, and growing, portion of the audience expressed something else: genuine, deep concern. Which leads us to the million-dollar question: why did this happen? Why did a simple dress strap fail so spectacularly? To understand that, we have to take a long, hard look at Darcey Silva's surgical history. This wasn't an isolated incident with a faulty garment. This was a collision course years in the making. Let's rewind the clock. When Darcey and Stacey first burst onto our screens in 90 Day Fiancé, they were undeniably beautiful women. They had a distinct, recognizable look, fuller faces, natural body shapes, and a style that was uniquely their own. But even then, the seeds of transformation were there. They spoke openly about their desire for perfection, their twin flame connection, and their desire to always look and feel their best. The first major public procedure was the Brazilian butt lifts, or BBLs. This was a significant shift in their silhouettes, giving them the coveted hourglass figure. Then came the breast augmentations, taking them from a natural size to the very large, very round, and very high-profile implants that are their signature today. But it didn't stop there. Not by a long shot. We've witnessed, in real time, a staggering list of procedures. Multiple rhinoplasties, their noses have become progressively smaller, more refined, and more upturned with each surgery. Blepharoplasty, that's the eye lift surgery, giving them a more almond-shaped, fox eye look. Extensive liposuction, sculpting and contouring from their abdomen, waist, and arms. Brow lifts, creating a perpetually surprised or alert expression. Cheek and jawline enhancements, using fillers and implants to create sharper, more defined facial contours. Countless injectables, lip fillers pumped to their maximum capacity, cheek fillers, Botox to smooth every possible line. And this is just what we can see and what they've admitted to. The result of this years-long, multi-million-dollar surgical journey is a body that is, frankly, artificially constructed. It does not obey the normal rules of physics or anatomy. Let's focus on the upper body, the epicenter of the malfunction. Darcey's breast implants are exceptionally large. This places a tremendous amount of weight on her chest wall. Furthermore, the extensive liposuction she has likely had around her ribs, back, and armpits has removed the natural fatty tissue that would normally provide a stable base for a bra or a dress to sit on. Her torso is ultra-slim, almost boyish, with two very large, very heavy implants placed on top. There is no natural slope. It's a sheer cliff. This creates a nightmare scenario for any garment, but especially for a delicate, strappy dress. There is no natural shelf of tissue for the dress to rest upon. All the weight of her augmented chest is borne entirely by the shoulder straps and the tension of the fabric around her ribcage. It's an immense amount of downward force. Those tiny straps weren't just holding up fabric, they were holding up pounds of silicone and the gravitational pull that comes with it. A normal, non-surgically altered body has a distribution of weight and fatty tissue that allows clothes to sit and hang in a certain way. Darcey's body, through no fault of her own but purely as a consequence of her chosen alterations, defies this conventional design. The wardrobe malfunction was, in a very real sense, a physics problem. The dress was designed for a natural body. Darcey's body is a masterpiece of modern cosmetic science, but it is not natural. The two were fundamentally, and disastrously, incompatible. So, who is to blame here? Darcey for choosing the dress? The stylist for putting her in it? We spoke to a top celebrity stylist, who wished to remain anonymous for professional reasons, to get their take on this fashion fiasco. Our expert was blunt, putting a client with that specific body type, a very slim torso and extremely large, augmented breasts, into a dress with thin, delicate straps and a deep plunge was a catastrophic error in judgment. It's a basic principle of styling: You have to dress for the body you have, not the body you wish you had. For that silhouette, support is everything. The core foundation of the garment has to come from the band under the bust, not the straps. A dress like that has little to no internal structure. It's like trying to build a skyscraper on sand. The expert went on to suggest what should have been chosen instead. A corseted gown would have been perfect. It would have provided the internal boning and structure to support her chest from below, taking the pressure off the shoulders. A gown with a wider, more substantial strap, or even a sleek, structured sleeve would have distributed the weight more effectively. This was a case of aesthetics completely overriding physics. Someone saw a beautiful dress and thought, Darcey will look amazing in this, without doing the fundamental engineering calculation of, can this dress physically stay on her body? The answer, we now know, was a resounding no. But it's not just about the clothes. We also have to consider the psychological component. A body language expert we consulted pointed out Darcey's demeanor throughout the evening, even before the malfunction. She was carrying herself with a certain rigidity, the expert noted. Her movements were careful, almost calculated. There was a lack of the fluid, casual movement you see in people who are comfortable in their clothes and their skin. It was as if she was aware, on some level, of the precariousness of the situation. She was holding herself together, quite literally. When the strap broke, the facade of control shattered along with it, and we saw pure, unadulterated panic. That was the real Darcey in that moment, vulnerable, exposed, and terrified. This incident reveals a tragic disconnect. Darcey consistently presents herself as a confident, empowered, leveling up queen. Her social media is a curated gallery of glamour, filters, and powerful poses. But this malfunction ripped that curated image away and showed us the immense effort, and sometimes the physical impossibility, required to maintain that image. The dress was a symbol of the high glam life she aspires to, but her body, reshaped by years of surgery, could not physically sustain the symbol. As expected, the internet had a field day. The reaction was swift, brutal, and divided into several distinct camps. First, the mocking camp. This group flooded social media with memes. They photoshopped the scene onto construction disasters, with captions like "Structural integrity failed" or "Engineers investigating the cause of the Darcey collapse." They compared the snapped strap to a broken cable on a suspension bridge. There were jokes about her needing industrial strength support and quipping that her implants had their own zip code and gravitational pull. This camp saw the incident as the ultimate payoff for years of what they perceive as Darcey's vanity and out-of-touch behavior. For them, it was poetic justice, a moment of cosmic comeuppance. Then, there was the "I told you so" camp. This group was less about mockery and more about vindication. These are the viewers who have been expressing concern about Darcey's surgery addiction for years. Their comments were along the lines of, "This is what happens when you don't know when to stop," and "Her body is literally breaking under the pressure of all the surgery." For them, the malfunction was not funny, but it was a predictable, almost inevitable, consequence of her extreme physical alterations. It was a tangible, visible manifestation of the internal struggle they believed she was facing. But the most poignant reaction came from the camp of concern. This group, which includes many longtime fans, was heartbroken. Their comments were filled with empathy. "I actually felt so bad for her, that was a woman's worst nightmare, and it was on TV, this isn't funny anymore, she needs help." They saw past the spectacle and saw a human being in a moment of profound humiliation and distress. This camp has begun to loudly question the role of the network, the producers, and even her own family. Why did no one step in? Why did her sister Stacy, who has undergone a nearly identical transformation, not pull her aside and suggest a different outfit? Why did the producers air the moment in such a graphic way? This public division highlights our complicated relationship with reality stars. We demand drama and spectacle from them, but we are often unprepared for the real, unvarnished human pain that sometimes provides that spectacle. We laugh and point fingers, but when the curtain is pulled back too far, many of us feel a pang of guilt and unease. Are we complicit? This brings us to the most important part of our discussion today. To view this incident in isolation is to miss the forest for the trees. The snapped strap is merely a symptom of a much larger, and far more serious, issue. Darcey Silva appears to be suffering from a severe case of body dysmorphia, compounded by the intense pressures of fame. Body dysmorphic disorder, or BDD, is a mental health condition where a person becomes obsessively preoccupied with a perceived flaw in their appearance, a flaw that is often minor or not observable to others. They engage in repetitive behaviors, like constantly checking the mirror, seeking reassurance, and, most notably, undergoing cosmetic procedures to fix the flaw. But no surgery ever brings peace. The goalposts keep moving. The nose is done, but then the lips are too thin. The breasts are done, but then the stomach isn't flat enough. It's a vicious, heartbreaking cycle. When we look at Darcey's trajectory, it fits a classic, and tragic, pattern. She started with procedures that enhanced her natural features. But over time, the changes have become more extreme, moving her further and further away from her original look. She now represents a kind of homogenized, Instagram-filtered ideal: the tiny nose, the massive lips, the enormous breasts on a tiny frame, the sharply sculpted jaw. It's a look that erases individuality in pursuit of an unattainable, and often surgically impossible, standard of beauty. The fame factor cannot be overstated. Darcey lives her life under a microscope. Every pore, every outfit, every emotional outburst is scrutinized by millions. The online comments about her appearance, both positive and negative, undoubtedly fuel this dysmorphia. When people praise her new look after a procedure, it reinforces the behavior. When people mock her, it likely confirms her deepest fear, that she is still not perfect, and drives her to seek the next surgery. The real question is, where is her support system? Where is the intervention? It's one thing for fans online to express concern, but what about the people in her life? Her father, Mike Silva, has expressed his worry on camera, often with tears in his eyes. Her daughters, Aniko and Aspen, have also voiced their concerns in a heartbreakingly mature way. But it never seems to be enough. The twin dynamic with Stacy is particularly complex. Instead of being a voice of reason, Stacy is a partner in crime undergoing the same procedures, creating a feedback loop where their altered reality becomes their new normal. When your identical twin is making the same extreme choices, it normalizes the behavior. There is no one to say, "Stop, this is too much," because they are both on the same accelerating treadmill. The producers of the show also bear a significant responsibility. They have financially benefited from Darcey's struggles and transformations. They frame her surgeries as dramatic plot points. They air her most vulnerable moments, including this wardrobe malfunction, for ratings. While they can't force her to get help, they are certainly not incentivized to discourage the behavior that makes her such a compelling, if tragic, figure for their audience. So, where do we go from here? As an audience, we have a choice to make. We can continue to laugh, meme, and treat Darcey Silva as a walking punchline for our entertainment. Or, we can shift our perspective. This wardrobe malfunction should be a wake-up call. It's a stark, physical reminder that the choices she is making have real-world, physical consequences beyond just her appearance. Her body is literally struggling to contain the modifications she has made to it. What we witnessed was not just a fashion error, it was a systems failure. Perhaps, instead of mocking the snapped strap, we should see it as a symbol. A symbol of a woman who is, metaphorically, coming apart at the seams. The immense pressure she puts on herself to look a certain way, to maintain a certain image, to constantly level up in the most superficial sense, finally caused something to break. This is a moment that calls for empathy, not ridicule. Darcey Silva is not a character in a cartoon, she is a real person, a mother, a daughter, who is clearly in the grips of a profound and debilitating psychological struggle. The endless surgeries are not a sign of strength or empowerment, they are the symptoms of a deep-seated pain and insecurity. What she needs, more than a new stylist or a more sturdy gown, is genuine, professional help. She needs therapy to address the root causes of her body dysmorphia. She needs a support system that is willing to stage a true intervention, not for the cameras, but for her life. She needs to step away from the spotlight and the constant scrutiny to rediscover who she is beneath the layers of silicone and filler. And as for us, the audience? We need to reflect on our own consumption. Are we watching because we care about Darcey's journey, or are we watching to gawk at her downfall? There is a very fine, and very important, line between entertainment and exploitation. The airing of that wardrobe malfunction, and our reaction to it, may have already crossed it. Darcey Silva's story is a modern-day Greek tragedy, played out on our screens. It's a cautionary tale about fame, beauty, identity, and the terrible price of never feeling like you are enough. The strap that snapped last night was more than just a piece of fabric. It was a thread in the tapestry of her very public unraveling. Let's hope that